So, welcome to the cooperative headquarters, well, their telephone centre, calling centre, and, a good place for their general business. They run a company called Smile, which is just an online banking credit card. Happy thing based in a pyramidal structure in Stockport in Manchester. It's a bit weird, I thought, when I first found that out. So, of course, a lot of stuff has been happening with the Co-op Bank in general, the cooperative bank. Apparently its headquarters is in Balloon Street in Manchester. Balloon Street, where just the clowns hang out in Balloon Street. Just, well, we all know what happened with it. Or do we? We don't really know what happened with the head of the Co-op Bank, other than the fact that he suddenly left his job at a time when lots of other stuff was going on. A large proportion of the bank was being bought off by some, hedge funds or whatever, US-based hedge funds. There's a lot of strangeness. This guy moved aside. Get out of here, Mr. Flowers, Reverend. Take that thing out of here, Reverend. And he walked off, and, he's been replaced by this guy.
And to sign up for an agenda, for strengthening the world's regulatory infrastructure for banks.
Who's taken over the cooperative bank as a kind of steward? He's a steward. Stewardship, like non-executive directorship of a government department is what he's doing. He's been brought in. He's a technocrat, and I believe it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole and find that this guy is an agent, or no, a buddy of just the, friendly side of the Rothschild banking industry, which is just up the road, in the city of London. And yeah, that is, setting the scene. And the building that they have, this pyramidal structure, which by the way is like a glorious example of proper council-led town planning, and the fact that you can see the pyramid from lots of different angles is to do with core business strength. The brand, the imposing idea. Corporations do choose particular and even design particular shaped and style buildings to reflect what they are. Just look at some of the big Russian corporations and the buildings that they live in. You'll realize that they are wow. Yeah. So, yeah, the cooperative bank. This is an introduction to the cooperative bank. So, let me first just tell you a little bit about the pyramid. I found this on a blog, jerryco23.wordpress.com, called Walking the Mersey from Stockport to Sale. Now, it's just a blog. This is from August 2012. There's a nice picture. He's just walking up. There's an arch, a big stone archway, part of a sort of, is it called a viaduct with a train on the top? The River Mersey. And what on earth is this? Well, it says, but the most dramatic sight here is the Stockport Pyramid, a 6-story structure clad in blue glass, completed in 1992. Extraordinarily, the pyramid is the only fragment that remains of a 1987 plan which failed to erect 5 pyramids along the banks of the Mersey on a site to be given the, I don't even know what that word is, grandiloquent name. Grandiloquent. Let's do a bit of live search, like search all at once. Grandiloquent, pompous or extravagant in language, style or manner, especially in a way that is intended to impress. Wow. Grandiloquent name of King's Valley, which is to do with the pyramids, by the way. But only one was ever built after something like the curse of the pharaohs struck and several developers and builders went bust. In the early 1990s, the developers went bust while this pyramid was being built. The developers went bust while it was being built. The developers bank, the co-op, took control in the hope of finding tenants when it was completed in 1992, but the eye-catching building stood empty until 1995, when the bank cut its losses and occupied the property itself. It's time to move in, guys. From where it operates, its telephone banking centre. Hello, you're reaching the cooperative. And then this guy just carries on walking down the river. Look, there's a, yeah. So it's time to have a quick look at our old friend, Wikipedia. There's a beautiful little picture on the side of the pyramid, the wonderful pyramid of Stockport, and it talks about the financial crisis, la 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 la, the Banking Act. But it does say down towards the bottom, what does it say? Further details of the rescue package, and it's always good to use the word rescue package, became available in October 2013, 21st of October 2013. They found out that they would lose majority control of its banking arm. So this is just a demonstration that the co-op is more than just banking, of course. Very much like a lot of food producers, a lot of food sellers like supermarkets and stuff like Morrison's. They own these massive farms, these big grain depositories, these huge industrial production, and they've always got a docks next to them, because the docks is where grain trade, stock market, big business in food trade is done. And that's one of the key features, of course, of the cooperative, is that they do in fact, or are associated with the trade, even though they call it philanthropic. The aid trade is what they're into, of course. But they are going to lose majority control of their banking arm, because, well, they now owe a couple of companies 1.5 billion. And this is where I mean, Wikipedia is a little bit out of date here. It says Aurelius, oh, I don't know how to say it, Aurelius Capital Management and Silver Point Capital are the two, what Wikipedia says are the two things. This is actually out of date. There is an article here from The Guardian, 28th of November. Hedge fund sells up after forcing co-op to cede control of banks. So forcing the co-op, forcing them to cede control. And just in case you don't know what cede is, I'm going to look it up myself. To give up power or territory. To give up power or territory. So there's some interesting wording in this article. But what it essentially says is that Aurelius, best known for forcing Argentina to pay out on its debts, had bought up co-op bonds as they collapsed in value following the downgrade of the bank to junk status in May. Since then, the bonds have risen in value and have now been sold to another hedge fund. London-based Perry Capital. Well, we'll have a look at this. Let's just first look at Aurealis. There is a clickable link on the Wikipedia article. And it says Aurelius Capital Management. Of course, they name these companies so that they're difficult to say and difficult to spell, so that people just don't, fumble across them when they're surfing the internet. Aurelius Capital Management is a US hedge fund The company is run by Mark Brodsky. Notice no Wikipedia article. Maybe because he is a lawyer formerly employed by Elliott Associates. As of October 2013, Aurelius is attempting to force the government of Argentina to pay 1.3 billion. Now, 1.3 billion, you see, they had 1.3 billion to throw at Argentina and say, Argentina, you now owe us 1.3 billion. We could cede control of your territory. But this is what this company is doing. Argentina, the state of Argentina, the country of Argentina, owes a private company $1.3 billion. Debt restructuring the cooperative bank. But they picked it up, they sold it off at a higher price. Of course they did. That's what they do. And you'll see that if you look at the other company called Silver Point Capital. Silver Point Capital is a Greenwich, Connecticut-based hedge fund that specializes in investing in distressed companies. They invest in distressed companies. That means that Silver Point Capital is a shark. And the word Silver Point almost sounds like a shark, doesn't it? It was formed in 2002 by former Goldman Sachs employees Edward A. Mule. Like, is this guy CIA, or is that just so obvious? Maybe it's just a fake name, to be honest. Edward A. Mule. And Robert J. O'Shea. J. Shea. These are international people, truly international people, who are stateless, and of course they are ex-Goldman Sachs, because at Goldman Sachs they learnt how to do the trade of international money laundering and money creation, and then the laundering of that created money. This is what Goldman Sachs specializes in. They're very, very good at it. They're based all over the world and they're massively successful. Whew. Oh my god. Essentially, at this point, you have to put into Google baby duck. Whew, look at that little fella. Oh, not very good quality, actually. But it does the trick, doesn't it? Look at that little fella. Look at that small little man. Okay. So Silver Point Capital still own part of Co-op. Who took over the Co-op? Let's look back at the article. It was London-based Perry Capital. So let's do that right now. Perry Capital. Welcome to Perry Capital Management. Hello, we're Perry Capital Management. Ooh, look at those beautiful shiny buildings. Wow, that is fairly impressive. Let's look at the Wikipedia article. Richard C. Perry. He's a hedge fund manager who invested in several companies and since 2012 owns a controlling interest in Barney's, New York. Perry's mother, Merrill, who for a short time runs... This is boring. He worked in the equity arbitrage sector of Goldman Sachs under Robert Rubin in New York City and departed to found Perry Capital in 1988. Oh, he's an ex-wizard from Goldman Sachs. So now that means Silver Point Capital and Richard C. Perry own the majority control of the cooperative bank, and they are both ex-Goldman Sachs sharks. But don't worry, if you're worried about this, do not worry, because of course there is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man, as it says at the bottom, called Lord Miners. There he is. There he is, in his Father Christmas uniform. Lord Miners. Baron Miners. He is, or was the Financial Services Secretary, sometimes referred to as City Minister, says, the Mail on Sunday reporter, Minister pockets £200,000 from company he set up in Bermuda that dodged £100 million a year in taxes. Whoa! Hold on there, Lord Miners. Whoa, no wonder he's got a nice tan. Whoa! This guy has been spending a lot of time in Bermuda. Whoa! He relinquished on his ministerial appointment. Immediately prior to his ministerial appointment, he was chairman of the Guardian Media Group, publisher of the Guardian and the Observer newspapers, the chairman of Land Securities Group. Now, I see that image a lot. They sponsor everything. Those big stages they put up in Trafalgar Square, a lot of the time it says Land Securities all over it. Land Securities. This guy, into art as well, you know. You've got to be into art. The Arts Council and all of that stuff. I mean, this is the guy that when he was in Gordon Brown's government, openly on the mainstream media, on live television, praised Gordon Brown for selling off all of the UK's gold reserves, or the vast majority of the 95% or whatever it was, at the lowest market price that gold had been for a very, very long time. And he praised him on daytime television about creating the right environment for the UK to get back into business. What he was basically saying is that the UK should become more insolvent and should be broken to make it easier for those countries in the EU to do business with us. We need to devalue the currency, is what basically they were saying. He's got a voting record. He has never voted on more EU integration. He has never voted on stricter asylum. He has never voted on laws to stop climate change. So he's doing a lot of not voting, but he has voted for allowing ministers to intervene in inquests. Well, look, that's strange because it seems that actually, he's not really a minister, is he? He's a lord. But as a lord, he's intervening in inquests. So possibly the vote didn't go through and ministers aren't allowed to intervene in inquests. But him being a lord is allowed. Especially seeing as he has such a beautiful, beautiful tan. Because it just really throws off the whole look of being a Father Christmas impersonator. It really is all about that beautiful speckledy tan of the sort of liver spots in your head. I think, metaphorically, this is the summation of what's going on in Kings Valley. The Jack Russell, this is not my video obviously, you can see all of the names on here, so I'm not stealing it or anything. Go watch it yourself at their own site. The Jack Russell is the co-op. The Tiger is the corporate arm of the City of London Rothschild Bank, in league with American hedge funds. Okay, so look at the co-op. Look at the co-op. Look how happy he is. There's something wrong. He knows that something is really quite wrong right now, and that he fights back a little bit. The Rothschild Bank is like, well, you are based in Westminster after all, that is the people's place, so you need some legislation. Okay, we'll form a regulatory association, because everyone knows that the regulatory association is where the big bankers are unaccountable and make the decisions and control their reputation by just sitting there, pretending nothing is happening, knowing full well they could bite that Jack Russell to death.